Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is Anthony Catanoso, president and owner of Steel Pier. Anthony, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike.
So glad to have you here. Listen, man, taking the time. No, it's an extremely busy time of the year for you. Let our viewers know a little bit about Anthony Catanoso, the family, Steel Pier as well, before we get into the history and what's happening today.
Well, the Pier, we're starting our 33rd year in business there at the Pier. It's me, my brother Chuck, my brother Bill, my partner Eddie Alwell. So we've been there since '92, and it's been a heck of a run. We're doing new things each and every year. But we started this thing. We started out in go-karts years ago, and morphed into the Pier actually by accident. My brother Bill was a manager at the Sands Casino at the time, and he gave me a call one day. He said, you know, Donald Trump built part of the old Steel Pier back, and it's all concrete, and I think he's looking to do something. And we wound up just making contacts until we got to Jim Allen, who was a purchasing agent at the time, who now owns Hard Rock. But we got to Jim Allen, who put us with Dennis Gomes, and who put us with Donald Trump, and we were able to make a deal, a 2-year deal back in '92. And we were there for 20 years until we bought it from him.
So you were going through 1 or 2 year contracts with him and running that type of business. Talk to us.
It was crazy. We had 20 years of 1 and 2 year contracts, and then finally they decided to sell, and we were in a position, so we were able to buy it back in 2011.
Wow, so that's amazing. And we're going to we're going to pick up at 2011. But going back, because I know you're a historian and you love Atlantic City, you love what you do, you're passionate about your family, about what you do in your line of work. Going back to the go-karts as well. But what does that mean to you? 1898, when you say that, the people that played on it, go.
It's one of the most storied brands in the United States, maybe in the world. I mean, this property in 1898, when it opened in June of 1898, I don't think they had any idea what it would grow to be. And then as the 20s, 30s, and 40s, when it reached its entertainment peak, if you were anybody in the entertainment business and you played Steel Pier, that means you made it to the top, because everybody that was anybody played back then. And the 40s especially, 40s and 50s was incredibly hot back then. But they had the music hall, they had the Marine Ballroom. These are venues that held 4,000 or 5,000 people. I remember the only time I was there as a child, 1968, when I was 10 years old, I saw the Supremes.
Wow.
So at 10 years old, I'm seeing these 3 beautiful women there with these sequins, and it was like, it was just something that will never leave my mind. And they were the impactful acts that they had. I mean, but Sinatra was there, Benny Goodman was there, Tommy Dorsey was there. I mean, everybody, all the big bands back then. But if you'd made it in the entertainment business if you played Steel Pier, and that brand, and to be a torchbearer of that brand is really an honor for us, and it's really been a pleasure. And it always hasn't been easy to live up to that brand, that moniker, because people are always saying, "I remember when." Things are not the same. It'll never be, and we understand that. It'll never be what it was. It's something different now. We're in a different world.
Right, and to your point, I'm not what I was 25 years ago. Right? It's like, 50 pounds and hair. So no, and Anthony, I wanted to touch on this too. Like I said, Al Jolson. You mentioned Sinatra. The Beatles were supposed to play there, and then they went to Boardwalk, or the Convention Center, I should say. And Hammond was just such an innovator, just a tremendous. I went with you to Summers Point, the historical building, and you did this presentation, and I wish we had the time to do that here, because I found that phenomenal. But Hammond, just an innovator, creator, a character, and then what he did continued for how many years? I'm not sure. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, Hammonds were actually there about 27 years. Right. We've actually operated the Pier longer than any owner since 1898. We were doing the math. So the original owner, had it for just a few years, and then Frank Gravatt came in and was 25 years, and the Hammonds were 25 years, and then there was a few intermittent owners, but then we came in, and we've been there longer than any owner consistently. But Hammond was a guy who was an acrobat, and at one point slept under the Pier as a kid.
Did he really?
And then wound up owning it. Yeah,
How about that?
Yeah, if you read his story, The Acrobat, it really is an amazing story when he started out. And Ringling Brothers brought him to the United States.
That's amazing. And I recommend you folks read that because that's going to be something to see with this interview. So we move forward. The world's playground. Steel Pier is a huge part of it, besides some of the clubs and whatnot, but early on. And we go into now, and we're going to fast forward. You and your family come along. You know, again, you started from very humble beginnings with the Pier. You know, Trump was using it. Was it for the helicopter landing pad, or what was the use of it prior to the Catanosos taking it?
What he did was, when he built the Pier, he used it for his charter helicopter business, but that business failed. So then he started looking to do something, and he made a deal with a charity to come in and run some amusements back in '92, and we came in and operated the go-kart track there. At the end of the season, he came out on the pier, and he said, other than the go-kart track, I want everybody out of here. And so then we sat with him, and he entertained a meeting with us, and we said, listen, our go-kart operation was first class. I said, we can replicate this. And he looked at the other go-kart tracks. We had 10 other go-kart tracks in Cape May County. So he he sent guys out to look at the operation, and he made a deal with us, a 2-year deal. He goes, I'll give you a 2-year shot.
And so it's amazing, and to go through that, I mean, if we had more time, we would, the years how it was, because it has to be stressful. You know, you're getting new CEOs and new directors or whatever coming in. You know, it's a casino business. That's the way it is. And they're probably like, well, what's out there? What's going on?
Over our 20-year history with Trump, we got terminated 7 times, because every time a new president came into the Taj Mahal, first thing he would do is send a letter of termination to the Pier, because he didn't want families out there, you know, for one reason or another. And then finally, Mark Giuliano came in, and Mark saw the value. At first, his first reaction was, "You guys got to go." And we sat with him. He gave us a year. He sat with him, and then we won him over. We said, "Look, this is an important part of Atlantic City, and this doesn't hurt your business at all, because when the grandparents are in there gambling, they'll bring your kids and put them on the pier." So he eventually gave us a 6-year lease, and then Mark Giuliano left, and the next president came in and said, "Selling the pier." He wanted to auction it off, but we were able to buy it directly from Trump Entertainment, the hedge fund.
And then it comes
So
to...
we had to circumvent the president then at the Taj, and we were able to buy it. That's how it came about.
And it's beautiful. We're so glad you're here. And one of the things you just mentioned there, Anthony, about a minute ago, families. You know, so important to the city. I know we're a casino town, but there has to be that transition, and you were it. You know, there was some piers on the boardwalk or whatnot, but with that name and what you did and how you built it, the progression of it, you know, talk to us about that. And then we're going to go into what's going on there today.
Yeah. Well, the first year, in our first full year when we took it over completely in '93, we knew there was a family market there. And if you came to our pier on a Saturday or Sunday, you'd see more families and strollers than you could shake a stick at. So we knew the market was there. So we figured, but our problem was we had to compete in a small space, 150,000 square feet, with other regional parks. You know, there are bigger parks down south, and then you've got bigger parks in Pennsylvania, you've got Six Flags. So we decided to develop our niche, and our niche was new rides not only to the state, but to the United States. And in some cases, there's a couple rides on Steel Pier that were the first in the world. But we said we have to create a niche where we have new, exciting stuff, because we're a small family operation. So that's what we did. The first ride we introduced new was the Crazy Mouse spinning coaster in 1996. It was the first ever spinning coaster in the world, and we took a chance. You know, we were at the show down in New Orleans, our amusement show, and we saw this concept, and you know, we decided we're gonna take a shot. We'll buy the prototype. You know, we struggled the first year with it, because when you have a prototype, you're always fixing the little things here and there, but it paid off. So we had the ride 26 years. It was always our most popular ride. So the new coaster that's coming now, that we're in the midst of building right now, is a newer, better version of the Crazy Mouse. This one's called the Crazy Crab, but it's a beefier, more modern, more exciting version of the Crazy Mouse. So we did that about 6 or 7 times. Our Slingshot was the first steel cable, spring loaded injection seat ever. It was the first one manufactured. After it was invented, we took it on Steel Pier. So we did that 5 or 6 times. And that's how we kept our edge, or stayed competitive, was to bring new items to the pier. And at one point, we had 5 locations. We were the largest slingshot operator in the country. We had 5 locations with slingshots in 3 different states. So Now we're pared down to just 2 states, but that's how we developed it.
Listen, one of my favorite rides, that slingshot. Every year I get on it, jump on it, and occasionally with a cell phone going just to see. And you're not supposed to do that, but it's just an amazing ride. The visuals, the ocean. I mean, and now you're bringing a new roller coaster. I mean, what is that type of undertaking to put on a boardwalk, a pier, getting it over the ocean and whatnot? I mean, let's talk about that.
First of all, you've got to coordinate 40 containers coming from Italy, the United States, and China. So you've got to get 40 containers into the city, across the boardwalk, up on the pier, unload it, and start assembling. That's the challenge. So that's where we're at right now. So you can actually see this process of people are out here on weekends. We're open on weekends. You can actually take a walk back to the site and see the coaster getting erected over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Our goal date, our opening date, we're shooting for is Memorial Day. But it's a logistical issue because you're out over the ocean, just like you said. But we've built access roads and reinforced the boardwalk in order to bring trucks across and tractor trailers across. But it really is, our guys are terrific. Our guys have been with us for a long time, and they know exactly what to do. And so it's exciting. And you've met our manufacturer before, Jim Shea, the guy who's Premier Rides. You've met him. And so this year, this coaster goes well this year. Then we have another one slated for next year, which will be even, more exciting.
I can't believe that. So listen, here we are now. We're talking about the pier. So many things to do at the pier as well. You have a venue attractions. When I say attractions, a place for weddings, whatever it may be. Talk to us about that. We have a few minutes left because that's what I think separates you from anybody and everybody that does anything like you.
There's nothing like it. Imagine this: if you book a wedding at Steel Pier, you can come up to the wheel deck, which the observation deck on the wheel deck is amazing. You can have your ceremony overlooking the ocean. You can take your wedding party down to a small tent that holds 150 people right next to the wheel, have a cocktail reception in there for an hour, and then move to our larger tent in the back and have a sit-down dinner with a dance floor for 210 people. So it's 3 venues there: the large tent in the back, the smaller tent next to the wheel, and then the wheel deck itself, where we've had birthday parties, family reunions, bar mitzvahs, anything you can imagine, corporate events. The governor's association final event there last year with Governor Murphy and his wife. So you can do virtually anything out there, and up to a few thousand people. We've done parties for 2,500 people out there. So for a venue, you can't beat it. We're weather dependent like anything else, but it is a spectacular place to hold an event.
It's one of the few places, again, that I could call home. Although it's not mine, you've allowed me and your family to go out back there, take pictures of sunrises, free reign of the place. It's great. Listen, we love it. And the fact that you had the foresight, your family, to keep this alive. I know it's been a struggle for you, but also when you see those kids and those families smiling and enjoying themselves, in the city, there's nothing like it. I mean, we got about 30 seconds. Talk to us about that. What that feeling is to bring that type of joy to people.
There's no other business like it. I mean, you build this thing up in the wintertime, you set it up and you open it up, and families come and they enjoy themselves. And then you take it down in the winter. By the time you're done fixing it and getting it built up again, it's time to open up. But there's nothing like that feeling when that gate opens for the first time and you see all those kids come in. Right. But that's great. And another thing we do, we've been doing for 30 years, is we allow every kid in the city, every ward in the city, to have a day on Steel Pier, so for free. So during the course of the summer, we allow every resident of Atlantic City to come enjoy the pier for free, because we don't think anybody in Atlantic City should not have the opportunity to come and enjoy the pier for a day. So we've been doing that for 30 years, and it's been very rewarding for us.
That's amazing, again, and I'm glad that you brought that back, because for every child to be able to experience the Steel Pier for free in the city of Atlantic City, again, like no other. Anthony, we're about out of time, and we'll do this again on the radio as well. Thank you so much for joining us, President of Steel Pier, Anthony Catanoso. Folks, make sure you get on out there and check out steelpier.com. You're going to be blown away by what you see. We'll be right back.